Hey everyone, welcome back. I want to tell you about the job opportunity I turned down 3 times. Not because I wasn't qualified, but because I was absolutely terrified. It was my dream job, and when they called to offer it to me, I felt nothing but pure, paralyzing fear. I need to think about it, I said. Then I went home and had a panic attack. This is about the cage that fear builds around your life, and how one verse became the battle cry that finally set me free. If fear is stealing your future right now, this message is for you. I've been afraid my whole life. As a kid, I was afraid of the dark, afraid of being alone, afraid of disappointing my parents. In school, I was afraid to raise my hand, afraid to try out for teams. She's just shy, people would say. But it wasn't shyness. It was fear. Fear of failure, fear of embarrassment, fear of not being good enough. So I played it safe. I stayed small. I chose the path of least resistance every single time. I went to the college closest to home. I chose a practical major instead of pursuing what I loved. I dated safe people instead of people who challenged me. I watched my friends take risks, move across the country, start businesses, chase crazy dreams, and I applauded from the sidelines while hating myself for being too scared. Someday, I'd tell myself, when I'm ready, when the fear goes away. But the fear never went away. I stayed at a job I hated for 6 years because I was afraid to look for something better. What if I failed? What if I made a huge mistake? Fear wasn't just an emotion. It was a prison I'd built brick by brick, and I was the only guard. Then my mentor called me out of nowhere. His company was expanding. They needed someone to lead a new department. "I've watched you for years," he said. "You're talented, you're smart, you're exactly what we need. I want you on my team." It was everything I'd ever wanted. Leadership role, creative freedom, significant pay increase. I should have said yes immediately. Instead, I felt like I was going to throw up. "Can I think about it?" I asked. I hung up and immediately started spiraling. What if I'm not good enough? What if I fail? What if I can't handle the pressure? I called him back 2 days later and declined. He was stunned. "Can I ask why?" I made up an excuse, but the truth was simpler. I was too afraid. "I really think you'd be great at this. Don't count yourself out." But I'd already decided. Fear had decided for me. A week later, I saw on LinkedIn that they'd hired someone else, someone younger, less experienced, but braver than me. I cried for 3 days straight. Fear had stolen my future, and I'd let it. My sister came over and found me on the couch, spiraling into self-loathing. "What happened?" she asked. I told her everything. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I knew what you'd say. You'd tell me to go for it, and I was too scared." She sat down. "You made a life-altering decision based entirely on fear, not wisdom. Fear." She was right, and I hated it. That Sunday, I dragged myself to church. The sermon was on fear. The pastor read 2 Timothy 1:7. "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." I'd heard that verse 100 times, but that morning it hit different. If God didn't give you that spirit of fear, where did it come from? And why are you listening to it? He continued, "Fear tells you that you're not enough, that you'll fail, but that's not God's voice. God says you have power, love, and a sound mind. Fear is a liar." I felt like he was talking directly to me. After the service, I told him about the job. He asked, "What would you do if you weren't afraid?" I'd call him back and beg for a second chance. "So why don't you?" "Because I'm terrified. What if he says no?" He stopped me. "What if God has been preparing you for this your entire life, and fear is the only thing standing between you and your purpose?" He pointed to 2 Timothy 1:7. "You have power. You have love. You have a sound mind." Those aren't feelings you wait to have. They're truths you act on, even when you're scared. That afternoon, hands shaking, I called my mentor back. "I made a mistake. I turned down that job because I was afraid. If the offer is still available, I want it." Long pause. "The other candidate just accepted a different position. We were going to start the search over. Are you sure this time?" "I'm terrified," I said honestly. "But yes, I'm sure." Taking that job was one of the scariest things I've ever done. The first month, I had imposter syndrome so bad I'd go home and cry. But I kept coming back to 2 Timothy 1:7. When fear screamed at me, I'd say out loud, "That's not from God. I have power. I have love. I have a sound mind." Sometimes 50 times a day.
Slowly, I started to see that fear had been lying to me. I wasn't going to fail. People didn't think I was a fraud. I was capable. Every time I did something scared and survived, the prison walls got weaker. I started taking other risks. I joined a gym. I took an improv class. I started dating again. Not all of it went perfectly, but I was living instead of hiding. 2 years later, my department is thriving. I've been promoted twice. More importantly, I'm becoming the person I always wanted to be. Last week, a young woman on my team came to me, nervous about a presentation. I could see the fear in her eyes. I told her about 2 Timothy 1:7, about the job I almost didn't take. You can do scared things, I told her. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's doing it anyway. She crushed that presentation. Fear is a liar, and you're stronger than you think. If fear is running your life, know this. 2 Timothy 1:7 is true. God has not given you a spirit of fear. He's given you power, love, and a sound mind. Those are your weapons. Courage isn't a feeling you wait for. It's a choice you make while scared. You can do scared things. Take the job, have the conversation, make the move, chase the dream, even with shaking hands. Fear will always scream, but you don't have to listen. What would you do if you weren't afraid? Whatever just came to mind, that's probably exactly what you need to do.
Thanks for watching. Here are today's reflection questions. What's one opportunity fear has talked you out of? And what would you do differently if you could go back? If you weren't afraid, what's the one thing you would do tomorrow that could change your life? Drop your thoughts about the story in the comments below. Your experience might encourage someone else facing the same choice. If this resonated with you, hit that like button, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more stories about overcoming fear and stepping into your purpose.